Today is day 8 of the Vlogmas challenge, and I want to be talking about how and why I got involved with Aikido as a martial art when I was in my teens. Eating lunch today, having some squash. Wow, look at that. I mean, look at that. Look at that. Miso soup, hummus, carrots, vegetables, all the good, healthy stuff that you should be eating every day. Anyways, I'm eating. And I'm just throwing that in there so you think about it a little bit. What are you eating? Are you eating something that's going to help your body get stronger, heal, perform? Or are you eating stuff that's just going to put your body into some extra stress? Think about that. I want to share with you the story of how I became a professional Aikido instructor. Let me add some backstory to kind of frame the situation I was in when I was 18 years old before I decided to become a professional Aikido student/teacher. I was a student at Boston University. It was my junior year. I was studying sociology and economics, kind of like my dad wanted me to be either a lawyer or a doctor. And I really wasn't interested in medicine because I didn't like biology. Biology was very, very difficult for me. And law was the way to go. So I was kind of gearing that, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then one day I had this like enlightening moment. You know, it happens to I think it happens to everyone. I'm sure it's happened to you. As a matter of fact, if it's happened to you, share it in the comments below. Tell me, what was your enlightening moment that shaped the course of your life? Mine was at that moment, one day I woke up and I said, I want to be a filmmaker. I love films. I love movies. I love what goes into it. I was president of the photography club. I was a photographer, and it just gelled with what I wanted to do. So I called up my dad and I told him that. And I said, Dad, I finally know what I want to do with my life. I want to become a filmmaker. I'm going to transfer to the School of Communications and study film. Now, I didn't ask him. I told him at that moment. So yes, I was a student at Boston University. He was paying for my college. And yeah, I was like a daddy's boy. And the way he responded shaped the course of my life and actually put me where I'm at today. So I don't have any regrets or resentments for what happened that day. But when it happened, it wasn't great. I said, hey, Dad, I know what I want to do with my life. I'm going to transfer to the School of Communications and become a filmmaker. And his response was, if you do that, I'm not going to pay for your school. And at that moment, my heart dropped because that was like a wall. That was a barrier that I had no idea at all how to overcome. My dad had always paid for everything. If he didn't pay for my college, I wasn't going to go to college because I didn't know at that time that you could actually get financial aid. If I would have known at that time, I would have said, yeah, fine, don't pay for my college. I'll get financial aid and I'll pay for it myself when I graduate, because that's what I ended up doing 20 years later anyways. Because of that moment, I sat down and thought to myself, well, what can I do? Because that's that moment where, and this goes into all the martial arts training. I mean, this is heavily martial arts philosophy and idea. And, you know, in the martial arts, it's about commitment, perseverance, dedication, self-discipline, you know, all those values that I had learned throughout the years through the martial arts were really beginning to sink in. And at this time, I was training in Aikido, and I would train almost every day. I sat down and I thought about my life, and I thought about, okay, what am I good at? What can I do? What can I spend the rest of my life doing? And it just hit me, Aikido. I'm good at Aikido. I can do Aikido. And it just so happened that one day, it was like a day or two later, I was walking by one of the student offices, and it there was a big poster on the wall that said study abroad. And there was a picture of Japan. So I was like, man, bingo, I'm going to Japan. So I walked into the study abroad office. I got all the applications I needed and I applied. I got accepted. Okay, so I was already accepted through this program. And then I called my dad up because he's the finance guy. He was the guy paying for my school. And I said, hey, Dad, I got a great idea. I'm going to transfer to the school in Japan, Tokyo, Japan. It's Sophia University. It's a straight Jesuit university, very, very well ranked. It's one of the top universities in Japan, Jochi Daigaku. And I'm going to study international law. So basically, I lied, which is not good because it's not a principle that we learn in the martial arts. We're not, it's about honesty and telling the truth. But I did lie. I lied, and maybe it wasn't a complete lie. Maybe it was like, yeah, I was going to become a lawyer and I was going to study international law, and that was going to be the final outcome. But in the meantime, I was going to focus all my time and energy on learning martial arts and learning Aikido. I told him, hey, Dad, I'll study international law because anyways, at that time, Japan was in their bubble economy and they were buying up all the major buildings in New York, in Hawaii. They had just purchased the Rockefeller Center, and it made a lot of sense to my dad. So he was like all for it. And that's how I bought myself a ticket to Tokyo, Japan for 1 year to study Aikido. I studied very, very hard. I mean, I was studying, I would train sometimes 6-7 hours a day. A lot of the times it was 2-3 hours. And I was training every single day. If I wasn't training in Aikido, I was in the library reading books about the martial arts, about the philosophy, about the religion, about Zen, about Buddhism, about Shintoism, about Taoism, about, what was that other one? Like Lao Tzu, the Art of War, Miyamoto Musashi. I read every single book that I could get my hands on when I wasn't training. Luckily, I was able, because my major was sociology, so I was able to use all that knowledge for my exams. And I did really well, except for Japanese, because I didn't study Japanese. I think I got a D in that class, and they failed me because D does not transfer to the United States. And that's my story on how I became a martial artist and an instructor for Aikido. Now, the story behind the story is all about perseverance, dedication, and self-discipline. If I could communicate anything to you that'll help you become better at martial arts, is that you gotta show up. You've gotta go to class. You've got to dedicate yourself to learning and understanding the techniques. You've got to practice. You've got to be physical. You've got to be in shape. I mean, these are the this is the story behind the story of what made me such a good martial arts practitioner while I was in Japan, and still today, what helps me and carries me through each and every day.